Hello, crafty friends. This is Amy. Welcome to my channel. This video is going to be on some ornaments, Christmas ornaments, because of Christmas in July. It's always a good time to put out videos this time, and I did not want to miss it, even though I'm in the middle of moving. So you can see the limited amount of materials that I'm using. I ended up with some ornaments. Why don't we check it out? Ornament number one. So my first project is using just a piece of wood that's a scrap piece of wood, and we're going to make a little snowman with this, and I'm only going to paint the one side, but you could certainly paint the entire four sides if that's what you choose. Sometimes staining the other three sides is kind of pretty, but I just left it as is. Now once everything's good and dry with the white paint, you can use the end of a paintbrush and make some nice round black eyes for this snowman and allow those to dry. And then here I'm just trying to use my hand at using my paintbrush to put on eyebrows and a mouth. I think practice really helps with this, and I still, after all these years of crafting, I still struggle a little bit with this, but take your time and it does pretty good. If you're not able to do it with a paintbrush, a Sharpie will work just fine. And like I'd said, everything's kind of packed away, so I just decided to take out an ink pad and have a little orange, and we're just going to go with a paper nose on this cute little snowman. Or I mean, yes, snowman. Even my glues are all packed away, so I've just been relying on my good old Elmer's glue. Now things have been able to dry a little bit, so I'm going to take and we'll put on his little hat first, and using the glue gun just to wrap that around. Pretty easy to give them a little hat. Sometimes, if you noticed, when you glue something down with fabric, you'll have a little bit of a bump. And so that's what I was avoiding. I didn't want to put that in the very front to avoid having that little bump there. Of course, if I had all my stuff, I'd be putting a little brim on it. He'd have like more of a fur type brim around his little hat, but you know what I've said it before, I don't have everything. I did pick up these little pom-poms. I thought they were such pretty colors, and I think I'll just give him a little pom-pom on his hat. Such cuteness. Although I enjoy making stuff for Christmas in July, I'm so thankful that we are not at Christmas time. I don't know about you, but I was so ready for, warm weather. And even so, a little bit, we're still not super, super warm. I'm not going to complain because it'll come, but it's just been very pleasant on the whole up here in Minnesota. Here we're putting a little light in his eyes. You can use a large dot for the pupils, and then I always like to put a little tiny shine off to the side. It just adds a little character. And I just thought a little bit of this twine would look cute too. Now, if you had a taller piece of wood, you can even give him a little scarf at the bottom. I didn't think I had room for that, so I just left it there. And then, of course, you'll want to figure out how to hang it. And I put some wire behind there, and there it is. Well, let's keep going. Ornament number two. This I found at one of our local shops, And it was 30 cents, and somebody, had it wanted to do this little project and then they just kind of stopped or whatever. So pretty much everything was here. So I thought for 30 cents I can make a ornament with this. And so we're just going to glue on that um, kind of a canvas piece right on the front. And I let that dry, and then I took my scissors and just trimmed around it. I think that little wood frame is so cute. And I did end up gluing that together too. I didn't show it, but that needed, something to kind of hold it together. Otherwise, that would have fallen apart pretty fast. And instead of using it like a square, I decided to show it as like a diamond. And I saw this green fabric, and honestly, I bought all of this at the same time at that little thrift store. I got these little strips of the gingham. I think I paid maybe $1 for it at most, and they were just like little pieces. And it's like, well, this is perfect for crafting. I can do this. And they were different colors. So I will have a few other colors for other crafting too down the line. So now I'm just going to do a triangle and make this into a little tree. And that's the thing when you're working with something so little, you've got to take your time and trim away the best you can. And some of that piece was a little bit frayed, so I thought, well, I'm just going to go with it. It looks like I'm showing you I'm gluing that down first, but here I am just fraying that just a little bit to give it a little bit of homespun look. And then with gluing this down, the Elmer's glue works fine. You just want to, not use a ton of glue, and I may have just used. It looks like I used my glue gun. Like I said, that can get kind of bulky, so it's whatever you choose. Um, I just love how this turned out. I think this was one of my favorites with the ornaments that I'm making today. And then just a little dark bow that goes with it and adds to it. Just fun. Isn't that pretty? Well, let's keep rolling. We've got more to see here. Ornament number 3. This is a leftover piece. I actually had a subscriber that sent me a few pieces of, this kind of stuff. And so because I want to paint it, I wanted to break that out of there so I didn't have the edge as a barrier, and I could actually paint the frame itself. And so I was going to show you how you can do painting with just minimal colors. And so I'm basically using gray, white, and black. And you can use the white to make your different shades of gray. We're going to give this just a nice white frame. And now I wanted to do a little bit of, little white snow. And if you take a little paint and add a little water, you can actually spatter a little bit of snow on there. And here I'm just showing you mixing the gray with the white to make it a lighter gray. And we're just going to make a little snowman. Now I could have went with just plain white, but I kind of wanted to give it a little bit of dimension. Okay, so this is where I'm doing the trees. And so that's probably why I went with that, um, the gray tree because now I can go ahead and add some white and give it that snowy look without, having it blend in. You can actually see where the snow is. These are one of those little fan brushes. It's the same brush I use to do the spatter. They're kind of nice for making a cute little pine tree. And then once that's mostly dry, you can just add in your little white snow with the white paint. And another way to do this, is just kind of a tap, tap, tap with that fan brush. Okay, we've got a couple of pine trees there. And my first attempt at making the round snowman was just I had like a little cotton ball type, crafty thing there. That wasn't working so good, so then I just got the paintbrush and just kind of went with it. And now I'm just trying to add in a little bit of highlights and lowlights. And once I got that the size that I wanted, and then I'm going to get my black paint out. And all I did is I just did a line and then a square on the top and gave him a top hat. If I would have had red paint, I would have probably did a few little dots on the brim of that hat to give it a little look of some berries or, something festive like that. But didn't have the red paint. And then the same, process of going through and doing the eyes. I still have my black paint out, so then I'm just going to do his arms for with a little tree branch. All right. And because we've got our gray there, we're going to give him a grayish nose. And if a person uses, like if I use just gray, it's kind of like a monochromatic type of art where you're just using the one color and you're doing different variations of the shades using your white paint. So I can't really call this a monochromatic, but using my just minimal paints and just having some fun with it. I hope so far you're enjoying my video. These were fun to make. Um, I don't believe I'll be able to make any more Christmas in July this season, but I definitely want you to check out mine from a year ago or even 2 years ago. I've worked really hard on those videos and they're still just as good today as they were when I put them out. So I will see if I can link those up in the last part of the video here and you can check those out too. All right, let's put this back in its frame. And so I did put a more little glue on there and just kind of pressing that back down. And there it is, a little hand painted snowman. Ornament number 4. And I do want to remind you that I'll show all of the ornaments right at the very end. Now these are the Dollar Tree Jenga blocks. I'm just going to glue three of those together, and that's going to be kind of our little base. And we're going to put the first layer on. It's going to be a nice black and let that dry. Now I'm showing you a technique. Once you've got your paint dry, you can put down a sticker, and then once you got those in place, you can paint over it. And when you pull up the sticker, you're going to have that black paint show. It's really kind of a fun technique if you only have minimal supplies. So I'm just going to glue on a couple more Jenga blocks they're in a different direction. So you can kind of see how I'm doing this just to give it a finishing look. Now you can imagine how many things you could do with just this style. You could put a little picture on there. Now this is the part where I probably shouldn't have, but I thought I'm going to put some wax on here, and that way, the paint won't stick there and it'll show the black through. That would have worked great had this been a nice big piece. But you craft, you live, you learn. And so I am putting on the white chalk paint. And now, once you get your paint all on there, let it dry. And then once it's dry, wherever you put uh, that wax, you will be able to, it will not stick. The paint will not stick there. So here is an easy way to put some lettering down if you do not have the color of your stickers. So here I'm going to pull off that wax that's underneath. And yes, had this been a nice big piece, I think it'd have been perfect. I just probably used a little bit too much wax. So, okay, I'm going to wipe off the wax, and then I'm going to add in some more paint where it's been taken off just because I really didn't care for how that looked. I do like the kind of the country, scrappy looking wood look though. So I didn't want to cover it all completely up. And then a person's got to be patient and let those dry. So, and I think I'm just dusting on a little bit of black that's mainly not there, just kind of trying to do a little dry brushing on there and just tying on a little bit of twine. Now this screams like it needs, color, like a little bit of red or something. But yeah, we'll just go with this. And it's pretty neutral farmhouse decor. Turned out pretty cute. What you think? Just showing you a couple techniques that you can do to make things all nice and distressed. Now I had time for one more, and this is just going to be a simple little clay ornament. I really like this air dry clay. It's just, it dries really fast when you're using it. I guess that'd be my only complaint, but just make sure you put away what you don't need right away. Don't leave it sitting out. And so with these little plastic spatula things, I'm going to just trim this down into a cute little house. If you had a cookie cutter, that would work great. And then this air dry clay, it just pats down nicely. Um, when it's dry, you can even sand it off. You could work with it while it's still kind of wet and pliable. You could use a little water on it. I wasn't getting real fussy with it. I was just going to make it work. And now I wanted to put a hole so I could have a place to hang this. And so I'm just using my scissors and then the end of a tooth or a paintbrush, and we're just going to make a hole and try and kind of ream that out so it works. And I did end up making a heart, pretty much doing the same technique. So here's the little heart, and I've kind of set things aside to dry. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to paint on a little black door and a couple windows, and we'll call this good. Depending on how much detail you like, you could add, glitter to this. A little red tie on it somewhere would be cute. You could put on, the year 2023, depending on how big it is. There's so many ideas. So here I am, it's outside, it's kind of windy, but I wanted to just hang these out where there's greenery so you can really see how fun these are. I hope you enjoyed my video. I do appreciate you. If you like this type of crafting, subscribe. Please like my channel. It helps my channel grow, or like my video, please. And check out some other videos from previous years on Christmas in July. And before you know it, folks, Christmas will be here. You take care. It's so nice to see you again, and have a wonderful week. Bye bye.